Michigan and Michigan State are looking to stay on the road to the Final Four, but while you watch, you'll want to look out for your financial health as well. Sports betting is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a recent study shows half of bettors have increased bets in hope of getting money back after a loss. That attitude can really kind of create a dangerous cycle of debt. So joining us now to talk all about it is Matt Eilers with Medalist Wealth Management to help you safely bet during this NCAA tournament. Let's first of all lay out the landscape with sports betting as a whole.
Yep.
Why are we seeing this increase in popularity so much?
Well, it's so easy,
right?
And it's so fun, right?
It is fun.
You can bet from your couch.
I know. I am sometimes a little bit of a sports bettor here and there, but I get it. Yeah, it is easy. Why else?
Yes. Well, it's just so convenient, and we've got the ability to you can literally bet on everything, and you can be sitting in your couch watching a game and bet during the game. So it's just popularity has risen so much. I actually did a little bit of research. I want to share some stats with you because this is kind of wild. So almost half of all sports wagering is done online. And in Michigan alone, in January, $575 million of wagering. It's just so easy. You don't have to get up and go to a sports book at the casino. You can just do it at home.
Yeah, I don't want to see how much of that was actually my money in that amount. But I mean, $500 million, more than.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a stark number just for one state, really.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's because, you know, the apps are everywhere. You see the commercials for them. They're on the billboards. It's marketed heavily to individuals, and it's just easy. So it's very convenient to
very
to
accessible.
Yeah, definitely. Sports betting is easier than ever. Just betting in general really is. What are the risks that people should be looking out for if they want to get in on sports betting this season?
Yes, so some other stats that I dug up here, which I want to make sure I hit these correctly, and this is where it gets a little bit scary, is a recent study found that 18% of bettors they lost money or they wagered money that they had intended to use on their necessary expenses. So think of that as, you know, a rent payment.
I was going to say like a
mortgage, a car payment, like your basic living expenses that you're depending on. That's where it starts to cross the line of it goes from entertainment to possibly a problem.
Right.
And because of the addicting nature of sports gambling and how fun it is, it makes it easy to become a very slippery slope.
Yeah, you know, I've heard stories of people, you know, betting thousands of dollars at a time, which is so insane to me. Like, you're talking about something as large as what I would pay in rent per month being put on a game and then losing it all. And then trying to win all of that money back because, one, you think you can, two, you would say, oh, if I can bet that much, I can make double that back in my next bet.
Yeah, so that, and you just brought up something that was another stat that I saw. Over half of bettors increased their wager to try and make up for a loss so that they could meet one of those basic expenses. So now it's like you're doubling down and potentially even making things twice as worse.
And I think to your point, it is because it is so accessible, right? It's just right there on our phone. We're able to do that rather quickly. Let's get to investing and gambling. There's a big difference in that. What is the difference? And just kind of dive deeper into that.
Well, the big difference is, well, both involve risk, right? But the difference between investing and gambling is there are investment strategies that can help you lower your risk. With gambling, there's really no way to lower your risk. The other thing to look at is, with investing, and if you just look at the stock market, it tends to go up over time. You just look at it's not guaranteed to do that, but if you look at the long-term trends of markets, they tend to go up. So inherently, because of that, the investor has an advantage. When you look at gambling, the house always has the advantage. Gambling games are made to support the house. The investor does not have the advantage because it's a game of chance. So there's a big difference there. And really, I look at gambling as it should be entertainment, not income. It shouldn't be, you know, you invest for returns. We can lower amounts of risk when you invest, and you can invest for income, but gambling really should be for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, me and my dad always have like this saying, like when we are sports betting, we are very scared to sports bet anything more than, you know, like $100 at a time. And I would say maybe even $10 at a time, because if we're at $10, that lower amount of monetary value, putting something on a game like that, at least, you know, that's something manageable, $10 versus
Correct.
$100. So
Correct.
we typically will never go above that.
Yeah, definitely. I know you mentioned too that the house always wins. That's what
Yeah.
the saying
Yeah.
always goes back to. It's
Yep.
a very volatile market in general for betting, sports betting, all of the above. But if somebody is really hoping to still place that next sports bet, what kind of tips would you say are a good idea just to make sure that you're keeping that in mind?
Let's just take a look at making sure that a bet isn't going to affect your ability to make any of the payments you need for your basic living expenses. We all have expenses that we need every single month, right? So make sure that, okay, you can meet all those payments, car payments, mortgage payments, food, utilities, whatever it may be. And then beyond that, don't let gambling affect your ability to continue your saving and your investing. I recommend that most clients, or especially people that are in the growth phase of their years, their working years, they save 15% of their paycheck for retirement and for long-term savings. So once you've met all of that, you meet all your basic needs, you're able to sock away some money, and if you've got that leftover money, it's up to you to figure out how much of it you'd like to put at risk. But I always look at it as expect to lose that money.
Yeah.
And if you're completely okay with that, view it as entertainment. And then I believe it's okay to have some fun and gamble.
Yeah, people think about that bucket as like the fun money bucket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or, that miscellaneous money that,
Yep.
hey, I have this left over. I can go to the movies with it. I can buy a flight with it. I can go on a trip with it. Or you can gamble with that. But to your point, it is up to everybody to make that determination themselves.
Yeah.
So if we win, and again, it's an if because remember, the house always is in the advantage here. What do we need to know if, we do end up hitting that $400 parlay on FanDuel this weekend?
That's right. Well, hopefully you do.
Yeah.
So when it comes to sports wagering, this gets a little bit confusing. There's kind of two thresholds. If you've won more than $600, but it also has to be 300 times more than the initial bet. If you meet those criteria, then you're going to expect what's called a W-2G. So this is where now you have to report your gambling winnings on your tax return and pay taxes on it. Because guess what? Uncle Sam always gets paid.
Yeah.
And he gets involved
Yeah.
with sports betting as well.
Well, I'm sure they would. I mean, why wouldn't they? And it's always written into some of the laws that you see passed, especially when the online gambling stuff goes through our state houses. You always see some sort of tax on those dollars. Even losses are taxable, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the kicker. The gaming companies and the casinos are quick to give you your W-2Gs. They're not going to tell you what your losses are. It's up to you to keep track of your losses so that you can then report them.
Okay.
Because if you've got gambling winnings, you can offset those with gambling losses, but you have to have proof and you have to have a record of those things. So those are things that, if you've got some large winnings, keep track of the losses. Likely you've got some, and that you can then report that and deduct it accordingly.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. You were saying that it is up to them to be able to keep track of that. The W-2G, where does that come from? Does the casino automatically have to send that to you? Are they required to do that, and why are they?
Yeah, it's IRS requirement, so it's going to come from the casino or the online sports book or whatever it looks like. And that's not going to come until the end of the year when you're starting to get all those other documents. Typically in the month of January of the following tax year is when you would be receiving that. So don't forget, if you're placing bets on March Madness right now and you hit big, you might get a little bit of gambling amnesia and then have to get this W-2G next January.
I just want to make sure that, if you do end up meeting that threshold, you're not just blind to the fact that you have to pay that. So they will mail that to you.
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, definitely interesting, especially how you said, they'll send it to you in January, and they send that automatically way after you've probably already completely forgotten about it. Months later, what is the best way?
About it.
Oh, I absolutely would forget about it. What would you say is the best way to make sure that people are keeping track of those losses?
Well, if you're gambling in some of the sports apps, they allow you to see your activity in there, but they're not going to give you like this fancy report proactively.
Yeah.
You can go in there and you can find a record, but I would just be mindful of it. If you're very active in sports gambling, I would just make a note of checking in with your activity quarterly just to see am I losing too much? Am I putting too much at risk? Because they'll let you know what the amount was wagered, how much you've lost, how much you've won, but they're not going to just send that to you.
Okay.
They want you to continue gambling because remember,
Well, of course.
they
Yeah.
have the advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One more question,
Yeah.
just in case we have somebody just joining us. Main thing that you would say to keep in mind if you're placing that bet on the Sweet 16 this weekend.
If just expect to lose. Now you may get very lucky, but gambling is a sport of luck, and there is risk. And just make sure that it's entertainment and you're not doing it for income. If you can meet all of your obligations, save for retirement, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It's no different than going to and spending $100 at the movie theater, with your family. If you say, you know what, our version of entertainment is sitting on the couch with the family and watching this gaming, having a little bit more excitement because if they win, we're going to make some money, then I think that that's important as well.
Yeah, a lot of the conversation relating to, if you do have a problem, make sure to get help. Maybe you have a family member that does have a gambling problem. If you can, get them that help. There are resources out there available that you can find on the Michigan State website where gambling is legal. All right, Matt Eilers with Medalist Wealth Management. We really appreciate your time. Thank
Always
you.
great to be here. Thank
Yeah.
you.